Chitty chatting with a pro.
So we were in his room, his main Santa chamber, his Santatorium, his Santeria, if you will, which does not mean the same thing. And Santa decided it was time to, let me have my interview. Mrs. Claus patted me on the back and showed me the way. And I may have read too much into it. I said, hey baby, can I paint you nude so I can show Santa a picture of what I want for Christmas? And she was like, so look, I like you, but I don't like you. So we sat down. I said, well, Santa, first of all, how do you afford gifts for 1 billion children? And he said, well, I've got lots of ho-ho-hos. Ho-ho-ho. So, Santa, you're like Tiger Woods. He goes, no. I stopped at 3 hoes. Tiger filled a calendar and a half or 2. He goes, do you know what 1 hoe plus 2 more hoes make? I said, Triple H? No, I don't. He said it makes that many hoes makes Santa a happy man. I said, happy or jolly? He asked if that was a reference to his weight, but again, this is LSD Santa we're talking about. So really, the guy weighed like 88 pounds. I mean, he didn't look good. So I asked him, look, Santa, you live far north. What's your nationality? Are you Russian? Are you Canadian? Are you an American living in Alaska? Are you a Greenlander? He said, no, I'm Polish, actually. Well, North Polish. I said, oh Santa, you kill me. He said, well, I will if I can't find your stash. I said, that's fine. We'll get to that when I come down. So I asked Santa, why do you go down the chimney? And he said, because it suits me. And I said, I don't understand. Did you just have a stroke? It sounded like you said soot, but that doesn't make sense in the context. He said, no, move on from that. I said, well, okay, fine. What happens when you get to a house and they've already lit a fire for Christmas Eve? They don't want to freeze into Christmas morning. Fireplace is lit. What do? He said, well, I just get crisp Kringle. I said, oh, Santa, your dad jokes are off the heezy. They're on fleek. They're on or off the chain. They're off the hook. I'm going to put the hook back on now because this is terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself. You've lived thousands of years, and this is the kind of joke you give me? He wasn't impressed. I said, so listen, hey, one question all the kiddies want to know is, how did you name the reindeer? He said, well, Rudolph is a good example. One night, a Viking named Rudolph the Red was looking out the window when he said to his wife, it's going to rain. His wife asked, how do you know? And he said, because Rudolph the Red knows rain, dear. And then he pillaged her, to put it politely, which is what they did, the Vikings in those days. I said, well, great, that's great, but what about the other reindeer? How'd you name them? And he said, well, mostly gibberish, just kind of made stuff up. It just kind of worked. But when it came to the 3 German ones, Donner and Blitzen in German means thunder and lightning. These are 2 badass reindeer. And Vixen, I know in English it's spelled Vixen, but in German it's in the original German it's spelled Wichsen. I think. I'm not sure. I never had to spell the word masturbating in German while I was in Germany or since. Those campsites, man, they operate in English. So I asked Santa, well, you know what? What do the female reindeer do to blow off some steam when the boys are out delivering? And he said, oh, nothing crazy. They just, they go into town and blow a few bucks. And then he explained that because of their teeth, performing oral congress, it's, I'm not an animalologist enough to pretend to know. Anyway, so I said, well, okay, let's go in. If we're going into joke territory, let's go all the way. How many reindeer does it take to change a light bulb? And Santa said, oh gosh, that's easy. 8 to hold him down and 1 to screw that light bulb into Rudolph's filthy reindeer face. Santa's a scary guy is what I'm saying. I said, well, a question a lot of people want to know is why the North Pole instead of the South Pole? And again, I'm telling you all of this because he wouldn't let me bring my camera. This was like interviewing Putin or Kim Jong-un or I assume Rasputin. You're not allowed to record what they say. You have to just repeat it. They won't deny it, but why don't you live at the South Pole where the ground is more permanent and it doesn't thaw out in the summer? I mean, your elves' workshops have to be pretty buoyant to survive that. And he said, because if I was in the southern hemisphere, I would be a lost clause. No, but in seriousness, what he said is that it's because of an Anglo-centric notion of what Christmas is. White people live in the northern hemisphere. It's just kind of a statistical thing. So let's see. So I asked him, what do you call a kid who doesn't believe in Santa? And he said, well, I guess a rebel without a clause. I said, did you mean cause? He said, no. God, man, the acid is making you really thick. So I asked Santa, what's the worst letter you ever got? And he said about this mob boss's kid. Mafioso's kid wrote a letter. Santa, I've been very good this... No. Crumpled it up, threw it away. Dear Santa, I've been kind of good this... Crumpled it up, threw it away. Went into his bedroom, grabbed the statue of the Virgin Mary, threw it in the closet. Wrote Santa a letter. Dear Santa, tell Jesus if he ever wants to see his mother again, I'll get a new bicycle. And that is, by the way, a true story. So I asked Santa, is it true that you have such a big sack because you only come once a year? And his answer was, yes, but it's okay because I only come down chimneys. Oh, Santa, you filthy monkey. So I asked him if he had any funny stories, and he told me about this little kid on Christmas Day out riding his bicycle. Santa gave him a bike and a helmet. Kid put the helmet on the front. It just latched on nice. He didn't want to wear it. Policeman stops him, says, hey, didn't Santa tell you that the helmet goes on your head? And he goes, yeah, nice horse. By the way, anyone ever tell you that the dick goes on the bottom of the horse and not the top? I'm sure I mutilated that joke. God, did I mention the cop was on a horse? Doesn't matter. So I asked Santa if there are any global variations on Christmas that he found noteworthy. And one he said is that in Texas, an elf is known as a gnome on the range. And that in Egypt, they sing, Camel ye faithful, dirty stereotype Christmas song. No, he didn't explain that part, but I don't remember what it was. It was something like that. So I asked him, well, what do Africans get for Christmas? And he said, hungry. No, I'm kidding. Malaria. No. Dengue fever. 12-hour shift collecting cocoa beans. An assault rifle and a draft letter from Coney. AIDS. No, but seriously, they get all that stuff for Christmas. All that and much, much less. So Santa is not exactly on board with that. And I asked him, well, what did the armless and legless boy get for Christmas? And he said, cancer. No, Santa, no, I said, that's horrible. He goes, I'm just kidding. I didn't give him cancer. The boy with no arms and no legs got gloves. I was like, oh, Santa, that's barely better. He said, no, I'm kidding. He wouldn't even be able to open it if he got it. I said, well, okay, fine. What would the kid with cancer get, a month after his birthday? And he said, I don't know, casket? No, I'm just kidding. He wouldn't be around a month after Christmas, so let him go. I said, well, since you're mythical, can you tell us anything about the afterlife? And he said, you bet your butt. 3 men die in a car accident Christmas Eve. They get to the pearly gate. St. Peter says, show me one thing on your person when you died that's holiday or Christmas related. You get in automatically. First guy pulls out some mistletoe. Yeah, it was stapled to his dick. That's fine. You're in heaven. Second guy pulls out some holly berries from his pocket. Now, mind you, they were pretty clearly anal beads, but close enough, you're in. Third guy walks up, gives a little smirk, pulls out some dirty lady's panties. And the panties were actually quite clean, but the lady they came from was dirty. And St. Peter's like, how's this Christmas related? And he said, these are carols. So Santa asked me before we left, before we concluded, when you exchange gifts, you like to exchange them with? And I said, honestly, receipts. And then I realized our time was done. Mrs. Claus came in, and I just couldn't help myself. I looked at that squirrely old droopy bag of awesome, and I said, honey, if you jingle my bells, I will promise you a white Christmas. And not because I was going to jizz all over her, but just because my last name is White, so any Christmas with me would be, well, gosh, I think I was probably misunderstood. I should go back and re-record that, but batteries are low and excuses, and also other excuses. So yeah, let's just keep going with that.